Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Erin Bennell. I am a Senior Broadband Program Coordinator here at the Texas BDO. Thank you all for joining the Texas Broadband Development Office in the second of 4 BEAD Challenge Process webinars. Throughout this series, the BDO will provide updates and demonstrations of the various phases of the challenge process. All webinars will be recorded and posted on the BDO website to rewatch, share, and refer to as the BEAD Challenge process develops. After this webinar, participants should, 1, know what the local community, 2, be familiar with preparations for eligible entities, including pre-registration, types of challenges, and the evidence required. And 3, they should feel ready to take the next steps for the challenge process. So for today's agenda, we will provide a refresher of the BEAD program, the BEAD challenge process, and the BDO's anticipated timeline. We have gone over this information before, but we just want to provide a refresher for those that are joining us for the first time. We will then be reviewing acceptable challenge types. The BDO will provide demonstrations on examples of acceptable challenge evidence, how to create a challenge, how to create zones using the map tool, and how to submit resident input as an official challenge. If you would like a refresher in more detail on how to register for access to the BEAD Challenge portal, please visit our website for a recording of our first webinar from Wednesday, October 30th. At the end of our presentation, we will have time to answer questions. The chat is open for you to submit questions throughout the presentation. So just a little refresher, these are the definitions that the BDO has been using throughout the BEAD program. A broadband serviceable location, or a BSL, is a business or residential location in the United States at which mass market fixed broadband internet access service is or can be installed. An unserved BSL is a BSL that does not have access to internet speeds of 25 megabits per second over 3 megabits per second, or does not have access to internet at all. An underserved BSL is a BSL that has access to internet speeds of 25 megabits per second over 3 megabits per second, but does not have access to speeds of 100 megabits per second over 20 megabits per second. A community anchor institution, or a CAI, is a school, library, health clinic, health center, hospital, or other medical provider, public safety entity, institution of higher education, public housing organization, or community support organization that facilitates greater use of broadband service by vulnerable populations. The BEAD program was created by the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act to connect all unserved and underserved locations in the U.S. Texas received the largest allocation with $3.3 billion. Some specific requirements of the BEAD program include developing a plan to achieve universal coverage for the state by maximizing deployment of end-to-end fiber, prioritizing projects providing broadband access to unserved, underserved locations, and community anchor institutions, implement a subgrantee selection process within 1 year of the approval of the initial proposal, and focus on improving broadband affordability. The BEAD program is divided into 4 main stages. The first stage was the development of the 5-year action plan, which was approved in August of 2023. The 5-year action plan provided an analysis of the state of broadband to guide the BDO throughout the development of the initial proposal. The second stage was the development of the initial proposal. The initial proposal is divided into 2 volumes. Volume 1 outlines the steps and requirements for the BEAD challenge process and was approved in April of 2024. Volume 2 outlines the subgrantee selection process and the office's plan to reach universal service. We are still waiting for approval of Volume. The third and fourth stages are implementing the activities outlined in the initial proposal, Volume 1 and 2. So now that we've gone over some basics of the BEAD program, let's dive a little bit more into an overview of the challenge process. Before we dive into the specifics of the BEAD challenge process, let us provide some background about why this process is necessary. The Broadband Development Office uses the Federal Communication Commission's, or FCC's, National Broadband Map to gain a better understanding of the service availability in the state. Industry stakeholders provide their service data to the FCC to assist in this process. After receiving the information, the FCC allows providers, local governments, and interested parties to challenge the data to get the most accurate picture of broadband availability before it is published and available to the public. However, the process to update the national map takes about 1 year. Since the last update to the map, progress has been made to connect more locations using federal, state, local, and private funds. The Texas BDO will be implementing the BEAD Challenge process to improve the map and ensure funding eligibility across the state is accurately represented. So to answer some common questions about the BEAD Challenge process, first, the goal of the BEAD Challenge process is to create a comprehensive and final list of eligible locations. At the end of the BEAD Challenge process, all locations identified as unserved and underserved will be eligible for BEAD funding. Second, the eligible challengers include units of local governments, nonprofit organizations, and service providers. Individual residents will not be able to submit an official challenge. Instead, the BDO has elected to use a resident input tool that will accept evidence and feedback from an individual that may be submitted by an eligible local government or nonprofit. Third, the Texas BEAD Challenge process will officially begin on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. Eligible challengers will be able to access the portal through their account and submit evidence under the appropriate challenge type. Eligible challengers will have 14 days to submit all challenges via the portal. The final update to the portal map will occur 7 days before the start of the challenge phase on Tuesday, November 26th, to provide challengers time to double-check their submission before the challenge phase actually begins. Fourth, the individual locations displayed on the map will be eligible for challenge. Challengers will not be able to challenge the position of a location or if a location meets the definition of a broadband serviceable location. A full list of eligible challenge types can be found in the Texas Initial Proposal Volume 1, available on the BDO website. Eligible nonprofit and community organizations may include the list provided on the screen. This is not a comprehensive list, but if you have any concerns that your organization is not considered an eligible challenger, please reach out to the BDO for clarification. Broadband service providers are also able to challenge and include any and all types of ISPs, including providers currently servicing locations in the state of Texas and prospective providers. Types of local governments may include those listed on the list provided. Again, this is not a comprehensive list. If you have any concerns that your organization is not considered an eligible challenger, please reach out to the BDO for clarification. And with that, we will dive into the challenge process timeline. Pre-registration opened on Monday, November 4th. Eligible challengers are able to submit their information to be approved as an eligible challenger and access the portal. Challengers will not be accepted at this time, but approved entities can take the time to familiarize themselves with the portal and the map. From now until December 3rd, the BDO will conduct outreach by hosting this webinar series and publishing online resources. On Tuesday, November 5th, a technical support line went into effect and is available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The number will be provided and is on our website. On November 26th, the BDO will publish the list of eligible locations with their broadband availability status and providers currently servicing each location. Participants in the BEAD Challenge program can look up locations on the map or by entering an address into the provided search bar. The challenge phase will last 14 days, and once the 14-day window has ended, the BDO will review submissions to identify qualifying challenges. 6 weeks after the challenge phase has ended, the BDO will notify all challenged service providers and CAIs of their pending challenges. They will have 14 days to respond with evidence. This is known as the rebuttal phase. Once the rebuttal phase has ended, the BDO will review all evidence provided and make a final determination for each challenge. In spring of 2025, the BDO will submit its final determination to NTIA for approval. Once the BDO has received approval from NTIA, the office will publish the final map and location lists. All locations determined to be unserved and underserved will be eligible for BEAD funding. In order to prepare for the BEAD Challenge process, the BDO strongly encourages participants to register for a CostQuest license. A CostQuest license is not required to participate in the BEAD Challenge process. However, it will give you access to the same data provided by the BDO on the portal and will allow the BDO to provide a template for bulk challenges. Next in our presentation is a series of demonstrations. In this portion, we will be covering the examples of acceptable challenge evidence.
We're going to review specific types of evidence required for the Texas BEAD Challenge process. We'll cover the following categories: availability, business service only, data cap, technology, enforceable commitments, plan service, as well as CAI or community anchor institution related challenges. Questions on evidentiary policy should be directed to broadband@cpa.texas.gov, and questions on technical support within the portal should be issued to txhelpdesk@ready.net. The most common type of challenge already discussed earlier in this webinar is the availability challenge. As shown on this slide here are examples of screenshots from ISP websites. These are the most common types of evidence for availability challenges. A couple of notes here. Within the ready.net portal, you are permitted to upload multiple pieces of evidence to support your challenge. Depending on the provider's website, you may need to upload multiple screenshots to effectively communicate your challenge. The more evidence you submit, the greater the likelihood of your challenge being accepted. Business service only challenges. The next example we'll cover are business service only challenges. These are submitted when the location is residential, but the service is marketed or available only to businesses. Like an availability challenge, a screenshot of a provider's webpage is acceptable evidence for this challenge type, as noted on the right-hand side of the screen. Data cap challenges. The data cap challenge should be submitted when the only service plans marketed to consumers impose an unreasonable capacity allowance. For a full definition of unreasonable data caps, please review page 23 of IPV Volume 1. For acceptable evidence, you would send a screenshot of an ISP webpage, as shown on the right-hand side of the screen. Technology challenges. For technology challenges, a manufacturer and model number of a residential gateway that demonstrates the service is delivered via a specific technology would be acceptable evidence for this challenge type. For example, this modem shows a specific type of technology is serving this location. Enforceable commitment challenges. While we won't be showing any real evidence for this challenge type, for evidence, please submit the authorization letter associated with this commitment. Plan service challenges. As noted earlier in this webinar, for plan service challenges, you would submit construction contracts or similar evidence of ongoing deployment. Permits, contracts, GIS files, CAD drawings, network diagrams, or supporting maps and photographs will be considered. Submitting as much evidence as possible will increase the likelihood of your challenge being accepted. Another item that is recommended, but not required, is a short written narrative that speaks to what is being submitted. For example, if you are submitting multiple locations with multiple screenshots, it may be helpful to articulate your challenge in a Word doc and submit that file in the portal. Again, not required, but recommended. Location is a CAI. For CAI-related challenges, screenshots are typically sent for this challenge type, but really any sort of evidence that explains that a particular location should be a CAI will be considered. As shown here, a screenshot of an ISP website, or a school bill, for example, with an address, are both acceptable pieces of evidence. Location is not a CAI. Essentially the inverse of the previous slide. Screenshots or any evidence that indicates the location does not fall within the CAI definitions will be considered. The CAI definitions can be found on pages 13 through 16 of IPV Volume 1. Some final notes. Now is the time, before the beginning of the challenge phase, to begin collecting evidence for the challenge process. Adding as much evidence as possible will increase the likelihood of your challenge being accepted. And lastly, consider writing a written narrative to further explain your challenges if needed. Thank you.
Our next demonstration will be to show how to create a challenge in the website portal.
This demonstration shows how a permissible challenger can create and add a challenge to their dashboard. There are two ways to create a challenge. The first way is directly from the challenge dashboard by clicking Add a Challenge, and the second way is from the map using the Add a Challenge button. For today's demonstration, we will be adding the challenge directly from the dashboard. Go ahead and click Add a Challenge. The next step will be to select your challenge category. Review the category options and their descriptions, and if you are looking for more in-depth guidance on each challenge type, you can click here to view the challenge type guidelines. For today's demonstration, we will be using planned or existing service. Step 2 is to select your challenge type. Step 3 is to provide your challenge details. Simply fill out all the required fields and click Next. Step 4 is to select your locations. There are multiple selection methods available. The first way is to go ahead and upload a shapefile of your service area. The second way is to select locations from your zone list that you would have previously created. And the third way is to select the locations individually by clicking on the individual BSLs, or another option is to hold the Shift key and drag a box around several locations. Once your locations are selected, you can click Confirm. Your selected locations will be listed here. You will want to go ahead and download the location spreadsheet with the location IDs. Note that an NTIA Fabric license is required to match location IDs with addresses. Once you've gone ahead and downloaded the location spreadsheet, you can click Next. Step 5 is to provide evidence and documentation for your planned service challenge. In this case, it's asking you to upload construction contracts or similar evidence of ongoing deployment, along with any necessary permits that have been applied for or obtained, as well as any contracts or similar binding agreements. Once your evidence has been uploaded, you can click Next. The very last step is your attestation. Go ahead and read the attestation and click I confirm, and then you can submit your challenge. Once the challenge is submitted, it will be in your challenge dashboard here. This concludes the demonstration. Thank you so much. This demonstration showed.
Our third video will be showing you how to create a zone inside of the portal.
This demonstration will go over how to use the map to create zones and research challenges. Here in the challenge map, Layers tab. There are several sections here, filters that we can use. Quickly go over each of those sections now. The first section is zone boundaries. You can actually toggle this eye off and on to identify where your zone boundaries are. This section here will go over demand points and broadband serviceable locations. Here the map has 4 different colors of dots. The gray dots represent served locations. The pink dots represent unserved locations. The blue dots represent underserved locations, and the green dots represent funded locations. You can use these filters here to toggle specific dots off and on. If you'd like to switch the way you're looking at the locations, you can use these toggles here. Now this has switched to viewing the locations as building types. You can see here all the different building types are color coded. And once again, you can use the filters to toggle off certain building types. You can also use these filters to zone in on specific types of community anchor institutions. Toggled everything off except libraries. We have a library here. And if we click this dot, give us information about this broadband serviceable location, such as the name, the address, the building type, the unit count. And use the back arrow here to take us back to the filters. And we have more filtering options, such as the unit count filter here. Using this, actually will show us MDUs or multi-dwelling units, 5 and 15 units large. Down, we have another filter for anchor institutions. If we flip this toggle, we are looking at whether it is a CAI or it is not a CAI. And you can take it one step further and turn these broadband serviceable locations off or on. Moving on down, we can take a look at funding programs. With this filter, we can show or hide locations funded by certain programs. Next, we can do the same for broadband technology. We can show or hide locations served by certain types of technology. Here, we're showing locations served by fiber to the premises. Next, we can show or hide locations served by specific internet providers. Next section looks at boundaries. You can show or hide county boundaries, as well as census block groups and census blocks. Last section is how you choose to view your base map. Is a dark view, satellite view, a light view, as well as a terrain view. Next, we will go over how to create zones. Zones is related to an area you might want to challenge. There are several ways to create zones. You can view those by clicking Create a Zone. First thing you'll want to do is give your zone a name, and you can click Define Zone Boundaries. Here, there are 3 ways to create a zone. You can draw, you can upload your own shape files, or you can select from our preloaded library. For example, we will choose Draw. Click Draw, zoom into the map, select the area you'd like to draw around. Ready to drop your first point, click once, and then each subsequent point is a single click. Ready to finish your shape, you can double click and you will get this yellow border. That is satisfactory. You can go ahead and click Save Zone. Zones that you create will be listed here in alphabetical order. You have the option to hide your zones, download your zone, edit the name of your zone, or completely delete your zone. Zoom in and take a closer look at your zone, selecting that zone. Go ahead and load information about your zone over here on the left. When you're finished looking, you can click the back arrow and it takes you back to your zones list. Collapse this whole white panel if you would like, larger view of the map. You can also use this search bar to search for specific addresses by themselves. This concludes the demonstration of how you can use the map to research challenges. Thank you. Demonstration will this step.
And finally, we will be showing you how to submit a resident input.
In this video, I'll demonstrate how a permissible challenger can submit a challenge on the behalf of a resident. We begin on the resident inputs dashboard. The first step is to select a challenge that has a not challenged status. go ahead and click View Details. The map will zoom you into the address. You'll want to click the dot nearest the address that it's zoomed into. Next, you'll want to begin reviewing the evidence that the resident has provided. Some things you can look for are that the address that the resident submitted matches the address on the map. You can also look for their provider and make sure that this provider is in fact serving to this address and that it is in a served status. Next, you can download all the evidence that the resident has provided by clicking Download All Files and review the evidence provided by the resident. If the evidence is insufficient, you can use the contact information provided by the resident here to reach out to the resident and ask them for better evidence or for them to redo their challenge entirely with sufficient evidence. If the evidence they provided was in fact sufficient, you can go ahead and click Create Challenge here. Once the challenge is created, you can go back to the resident inputs dashboard and you'll see that this particular challenge has moved now into a challenged status. This completes the demo. Thank you so much.
Now that we've completed our demonstration, a few extra notes to make when submitting documentation for challenges. When submitting evidence, a few details should be considered. First, when submitting an image as evidence, ensure that the quality of the image and the resolution is sufficient enough to be processed through the portal. Second, take the necessary steps to ensure privacy of personally identifiable information. Third, if you are missing the location ID for a location, use the Texas BEAD Challenge map to locate the information. In some cases, the address of the location may not be enough information to submit a successful challenge. Fourth, regularly check your email and portal account for notifications of challenges submitted against your service area. For individuals, reach out to local eligible entities such as nonprofits or your local governments participating in the challenge process to share information related to an eligible challenge, such as sharing evidence for an availability challenge. And of course, sign up for the BDO's monthly newsletter for updates. For additional assistance, the National Telecommunications Information Administration, or NTIA, has provided a template for challenge submissions to ensure each challenge is tied to the appropriate evidence. This template will be available on the challenge portal for your use. So next steps. First, register to participate in the BEAD Challenge process. Even if you have no intention of submitting a challenge, an account may still be necessary for the rebuttal phase. Registration will be available until Wednesday, January 2nd, 2025. For residents, more information about the resident input tool will be coming shortly. Finally, stay up to date with the BDO throughout the BEAD program. To learn more about the BDO and the BEAD Challenge process, please visit the outreach page on our website. Our website will have the link to sign up for our monthly newsletter. You can add our monthly roundtables to your calendar and the link to register for the next webinar in the BEAD Challenge Process series. Registration for this webinar does not automatically register you for the next webinar. As a final reminder, a recording of this webinar will be available on our website shortly, along with the approved Texas Initial Proposal, Volume 1. And with that, we will take your questions.
We have lots of questions in the chat for you. I'll just start from the top. So how long does it take to gain access to the challenge portal? This is from someone that's already registered in the portal and got the confirmation email and is just waiting to hear about next steps.
Perfect. Thank you so much for registering to access our portal. We are going to begin granting access by the end of this week. We have received quite a few requests already, so we're just going through to make sure that they are eligible challengers and that they can be granted access to the portal. So very soon.
Thank you, Erin. And how many users can a company register for in the portal?
How many users? I will actually let our partner with our vendors jump in and answer how many people can be registered to one company under one provider ID.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'll take this one. So there technically is no limit. We recommend that you keep it around 10. I think the theoretical limit is like 999. So you should be good to add as many team members as you need to.
Thank you, Clay.
What is the definition of bulk for the portal?
A bulk challenge is any challenge that is more than one location.
Thank you. So does the state require that for a CAI to be served, it must receive service of 1 gig symmetrical?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Does the BDO expect that the CSV files will be released sooner than 7 days prior to the start of the challenge period?
The BDO is planning on starting the BEAD Challenge process on December 3rd. That will not be changing. We are waiting to see if the FCC is able to release version 5 of the Fabric availability data. If that Fabric is released by the end of the week, we may be able to update the map and have that available at least 7 days prior. If the data is not released before the end of this week, we will be discussing releasing the map earlier.
Thank you, Erin. Will a redacted bill be accepted as evidence of service?
It would be dependent on the type of challenge it's submitted with. I would need a little bit more information to answer.
Okay, if the person that asked that question would like to provide a little more context in the chat, I will relay that to Erin. We'll move on to another question for now, though. On the previous webinar, it was stated that fixed wireless is considered served. What type of fixed wireless?
Great question. There's a lot of different types of fixed wireless. If you would like a specific breakdown of which types of service are considered served, I would recommend checking our initial proposal volume 1 for that specific information and our initial proposal volume 2 to see how the BDO will be responding to those different types of technology.
Excellent. Sorry, forgive me, I lost my place on where we were with the questions. There we are. Okay. Is 3,500 the maximum number of locations that can be submitted per challenge for all challenge types?
For all challenge types, yes, there is a limit. I believe we set it to 250 locations per challenge, though.
Okay. So this next question, I think we'll still get the gist of it, though. If challenging 3,500 locations, would I need 3,500 screenshots total from the ISP website, i.e. 1 per address?
That is correct, yes.
All right, next up we have, with such a short turnaround on the challenge process, i.e. 2 weeks, and Texas being such a large state, will the BDO entertain any extensions to that 2-week period?
The BDO will not be able to extend past the 2-week period. As you mentioned, Texas is such a large state, and we are all given a fixed amount of time to complete the challenge process. All eligible entities, so other states and territories, have been working with the same exact timeline the BDO has. And so we need the extra time to evaluate all of the challenges that are submitted in order to make a fair and transparent process.
Thank you, Erin. Here's another question. Did I hear you say that the initial list of eligible locations would be released on November 26th?
Yes, the initial list that we will be running the BEAD Challenge process off of will be released by November 26th.
Excellent. And I think we've already answered this, but maybe just one more time. Is there a maximum number of locations per bulk challenge?
Yes, the maximum number is 250 locations per bulk challenge, per challenge type.
Okay, and just some clarification on one of the previous questions. As far as the bulk uploads, how many, I think that was just answered. How many can be in one bulk upload? Never mind, ignore that. And what are the evidence requirements for served locations?
There is no evidence required. Well, So if you're asking to prove that a location is served, you would need to provide some form of documentation that this location is actually served. That varies on challenge type. So I would recommend reviewing our initial proposal volume 1 to see those specific evidence requirements for each challenge type. If you were asking what's the evidence requirements for switching a served location to an unserved and an underserved location, it would be different types of evidence and challenge requirements based off of the challenge type.
Thank you, Erin. And this is just clarification for a question that was asked earlier about the redacted bill. For the availability challenge, is a redacted bill an acceptable form of evidence?
Yes, a redacted bill would be an acceptable form of evidence.
Excellent, thank you. Looks like we have one more right now. And what if we have more than 250 locations per challenge type?
You can submit multiple bulk challenges. We're just saying in one submission, you are limited to 250 locations.
Excellent. I think I've gotten all the questions currently in the chat. Erin, I'll let you know if another one pops up.
Thanks, Andrea.
Oh, we got a couple more. What did you say the cutoff date is for going to Fabric version 5?
We would need Fabric version 5 or availability version 5 released by the end of the week in order to be able to update our portal and our information to the latest version. If version 5 is released after the end of this week, we will have to move forward with version 4 data.
And then we have another question. Can the Texas draft list slash spread? Sorry, it moved on me. Can the Texas draft list slash spreadsheet of Texas CAIs be shared, or is this posted somewhere as in other states so that reviews can begin prior to the mapping portal?
I believe there is a list of CAIs that we submitted with our initial proposal volume 1 in December of last year available on our website. That is still the consistent CAI list that we have been using to create this portal and will be available through the portal for the BEAD Challenge process.
Excellent.
If it is not available, please feel free to reach out to our office and we'll happily send you the list.
Thank you, Erin. For shapefile uploads, are those also limited to including only 250 locations maximum?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And one more time, can you state when the rebuttal process will begin?
The rebuttal process will begin in in winter of 2025. So pretty much as soon as we get back from New Year's break, we will be going into the rebuttal process.
Excellent. And this is just asking again, so do CAIs need to be 1 gig symmetrical to be considered served?
Yes, they do.
Excellent. Thank you. When and where will the portal be accessible?
There is a link available on the BDO website that will take you to the BEAD Challenge portal for you to register. We will be admitting people into the challenge portal by the end of this week. We've already received a few requests and we just have to go through the request to confirm that they are eligible challengers.
Well, we have a little bit of a request for clarification. So the CAI list already shared will not change and can be used for challenges?
Yes, that is correct.
I think we're caught up in the chat for now, Erin. I'll let you know if any other questions pop up.
Thank you. And I did want to just say, going back to the start date of the rebuttal process, I apologize. I have too many dates in my head these days. The start date for the rebuttal process will start on January 10th.
Still quiet in the chat, Erin.
Alrighty. All right, questions going once?
Oh, hold on, we just got one. Where can we access the CAI list, and is it published on your website?
The CAI list should be published on our website. If it is not, then email broadband@cpa.texas.gov and we'll be sure to send that out to you.
Will the resident input toolkit contain graphics for challengers to modify for their respective community?
The resident input tool only allows challenges on an individual location basis, so one location at a time. There will be a map tool for residents to use when they're putting together their input.
Erin, I'm wondering if this is referring to the outreach toolkit that we spoke about.
The input toolkit, the resident input toolkit, the BDO is putting together a toolkit to help share awareness and provide outreach information on the BEAD Challenge process for individuals. The toolkit itself will not have graphics to walk anybody through the resident input tool. It'll be more materials like posters, bookmarks, social media content, that type of information.
Not seeing any new questions in the chat just yet, Erin. Here we have another one. Are BOOT 2 invited counties to be shown as funded or wait until after awards are signed?
I wish I could share more information about BOOT 2, but unfortunately I'm unable to talk about that program at this time as we are still in active procurement. If there are any updates to BOOT 2 before the start of the BEAD Challenge date, we will be sure to have that updated in the portal.
Thank you, Erin. We've got quite a few more questions coming in now. Can a provider submit a CSV bulk upload to switch locations from unserved or underserved to served, or must it be an area type challenge shapefile?
A provider can submit a CSV to do a bulk challenge as well as do an area type challenge for each challenge type.
Thank you. And just to confirm, the CAI list will not change and we can start data analysis.
That is correct. The CAI list that was submitted with initial proposal volume 1 in December of 2023 has not changed.
We're caught up on questions for now, Erin. But someone did make reference of the outreach toolkit again, just confirming that yes, it will be available in English and Spanish. We just got another question. Is there any consideration of transitional centers as unique from traditional residential locations as for the unhoused population?
Unfortunately, we are restricted to the definition provided by the BEAD Notice of Funding Opportunity. So any of the definitions there is what we are following reference to a broadband serviceable location. If you do have concerns about the unhoused population and what the BDO is doing for transitional centers and unique housing situations, I would recommend reaching out to our digital opportunity side of the office.
All quiet in the chat, Erin.
All righty. Questions going once? Going twice? Alrighty, unless something pops up right this very second, thank you all so very much for coming to our second webinar for the BEAD Challenge process. We really appreciate all of your participation and your interest and enthusiasm as we get ready to start this great process. We will keep you posted. Everyone have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week.